Most people familiar with the D-Day landings on the 6th of June 1944 are familiar with the names of the landing beaches. British and Canadian forces landed on the eastern beaches, codenamed Gold, Juno and Sword, while the American forces landing in the west landed on two beaches codenamed Omaha and Utah. While the names of the beaches are well known, the question may arise as to where did the names originate. The British and Canadian beaches were all named after types of fish, with the British landing on goldfish and swordfish, while the Canadians were to land on jellyfish, with each of the beaches being abbreviated to Gold, Jelly, and Sword. The proposed sixth landing zone, codenamed Band, was also named after a fish. More information on the story of Band, D-Day's Forgotten Beach, can be found in my video, a link to which is in the description box below. At the insistence of Churchill, Jelly, the name given to the Canadian landing zone, was changed. Churchill disapproved of the word jelly for a strip of sand on which men could die and had the name changed to Juno, after the Roman goddess and queen of the gods, who was often portrayed clutching a weapon. Codenames for operations were a relatively new practice, having been pioneered by the Germans during the First World War. The words listed in British and American code indices were chosen randomly. Churchill, however, was fascinated by them and personally selected code names for major operations. Churchill saw the names of culturally significant figures as useful sources and maintained clear ideas about what constituted an appropriate code name. After coming across several code names that he considered to be unsuitable, he demanded that all future code names be submitted to him for approval, a request which he ultimately dropped when he learned of the magnitude of the task. Despite this, on the 8th of August 1943, Churchill, ever the wordsmith, wrote a memo to Major General Hastings Ismay, his chief staff officer, on the subject of code names.
I have crossed out on the attached paper many unsuitable names. Operations in which large numbers of men may lose their lives ought not to be described by code words which imply a boastful and overconfident sentiment, such as triumphant, or conversely, which are calculated to invest the plan with an air of despondency, such as woe betide, massacre, jumble, trouble, fidget, flimsy, pathetic, and jaundice. They ought not to be names of a frivolous character, such as bunny hug, Billingsgate, aperitif, and ballyhoo. They should not be ordinary words often used in other connections, such as flood, smooth, sudden, supreme, full force, and full speed. Names of living people, ministers, or commanders should be avoided, for example Bracken. After all, the world is wide, and intelligent thought will readily supply an unlimited number of well-sounding names which do not suggest the character of the operation or disparage it in any way. And do not enable some widow or mother to say that her son was killed in an operation called Bunny Hug or Ballyhoo. Proper names are good in this field. The heroes of antiquity, figures from Greek and Roman mythology, the constellations and stars, famous racehorses, names of British and American war heroes, could be used, provided they fall within the rules above.
Churchill's hand can be seen in the names chosen for D-Day. The plan for the overall invasion of Europe had originally been codenamed Roundhammer, a name which was a combination of Operation Roundup and Operation Sledgehammer, which were plans for an assault on Europe under varying circumstances in 1942 and 1943. At the 1943 Casablanca Conference, Churchill substituted the name Roundhammer for Overlord, a name intended to carry majesty and the irresistible power that he no doubt intended to be unleashed against Hitler's fortress Europe. While the British Commonwealth beaches were named after types of fish, the origins of the codenames Omaha and Utah are less clear. Originally, they were designated X-ray and Yoke from the phonetic alphabet of the day. Many historians have incorrectly claimed that Omaha and Utah took their names from the commanders of the US 5 and 7 Corps commanders. The commander of 5 Corps, Leonard T. Garreau, was born in Petersburg, Virginia, while the 7th Corps commander, Lawton Collins was born in New Orleans, Louisiana. The historical record is curiously silent on the origins of Omaha and Utah. In 2008, an explanation was offered by a US newspaper, which drew attention to an old notebook which belonged to a former soldier who had been stationed in the London headquarters of General Omar Bradley. The notebook revealed how, in 1943, Private Gail Eiler from Omaha, Nebraska, was assigned to the headquarters company supporting Bradley's staff. In his memoirs, Bradley described his officers as
a row of fashionable West End flats with fireplaces of Italian marble and ornate Rocco ceilings. Now the windows were curtained. An assortment of GI tables and field desks crowded the drawing rooms. Its walls were papered with top-secret maps.
Eiler was a GI employed as a carpenter who, along with another carpenter from Provo, Utah, was security cleared and tasked with demolishing the interior walls of Bradley's headquarters and to set up plywood screens from which the maps were hung. According to Eiler's notebook, they often queued for coffee and donuts with senior commanders, and on one occasion Bradley spoke to the two carpenters who had been hard at work in his office during one of their breaks, and inquired where they were from. Later, Eiler and the other carpenter were invited to rest their coffee cups on a table with Bradley and Eisenhower, who, at the time, were discussing the naming of the American landing zones. It was apparently at this moment that Bradley suggested Omaha and Utah, and, looking at Eiler and the other GI, added the comment,
"For your hard work in getting the place ready in a hurry."
This is an intriguing addendum to history, but one which it is impossible to verify. What is certain, however, is that on the 3rd of March 1944, Amendment No. 1 was issued, which changed all references to beaches X-Ray and Yoke to Utah and Omaha. At the same time, Churchill was admonishing British planners for their choice of the word jelly for the Canadian beach.
Many thanks for watching. Please subscribe for more updates, like and share. You can also help to support the channel at Patreon. Details are in the description box below.